Hello and welcome. Again, I am your host. I wanted to say thanks for checking out my channel. If you have any ideas of content or any comments or anything, please feel free to let me know. Um, Again, this is a bass guitar podcast generally, but today we're going to be doing a review. It's not going to be a big giant one, but I did want to go ahead and get this knocked off my list and show you guys one of my latest purchases this year for our band. So with that being said, I'm going to move this chair. All right. Appreciate that. So today I am going to show you my PA speakers that I bought this year. I'm going to go ahead and click this here for you. These beautiful contraptions are called the Harbinger VARI V2315. If I had music, that's where it'd be playing, like an intro. So, back at the end of the year, last year, 2021, we were playing a show on just going into December, and my Behringer PA 4-channel 6,000 watt PA head blew up on me. It was arcing, and it was making the power in the place we were playing at. It faded for a hot moment before I unplugged it. So it smelled like it was burning and whatnot, and I had no desire whatsoever to buy any new speakers or to buy a new PA. Because, when it comes to playing shows and it comes to being in a band, it's basically, if it's not broke, don't fix it, obviously. Well, with that being said, we were playing another show on New Year's Eve, and we had less than a couple songs left, and I was using another PA, and it also stopped working on me. So at that time, we had a strong need for a new PA system. So I did a lot of research after I was inspired on New Year's Eve. There was a DJ that evening, and his system was Harbinger VARI V2315s and two of the subwoofers, one on each side. And I was very impressed with the sound. And so, of course, being, like a typical musician, when you see something cool, you take a picture of it, and then you look at it later and you see what it is and read about it. So I took a picture of the system and the speakers and got the information off of it, and that led me to go down a rabbit hole, and that brought me to the Harbinger 15s. So I'm going to take this off, and yes, I hear a motorcycle in the background. Welcome to summertime, folks. So this bad boy here, I would say, weighs, oh man, I think it's not very much, to be honest with you. Let me pull up the information here. Actually, I'll pull it up on my phone so it'll be faster and you can see me. So if you go to Harbinger's website, harbingerproaudio.com, it says that it's a versatile powered speaker with Bluetooth, which was something that I thought would be very awesome, to have a built-in Bluetooth system, because I'd never had one before. Plus, these speakers are powered, which I'd never had before, and I felt that was pretty cool. So with that being said, the weight of these things is definitely less than 30 pounds. You can look it up online, and I'm sure it'll tell you they weigh not much of anything. It has a handle on top, and it has a handle on the side. And when you have to move around a lot of equipment, and you're able to do this at almost 40 years old, that's pretty impressive. So, again, it's got a real nice grill shape. It's kind of like a little arch, which makes stacking in the car a little different, because I sometimes I'll lay them one on top of the other, and I'll put a piece of foam in between them to keep them separated. Let me turn this around here for you. And I'm sure it's kind of harder to see what all these knobs are saying and doing, so I'll bring you a little bit closer. Da, da, da. Look at that. I am a terrible cameraman, but I'm equally as bad of a sound man. So with that being said, let me try and bring a little structure to this. So these guys are pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. They have 3 channels. Channel 1, Channel 2, Channel 3. And then they have, up here you have bass and treble, which is very nice to have built in. And it's got XLR in and out for what they call the linked in system, which is right here. It has a switch that says either stereo, or linked. And then they have on channel 3, they have a 1/8 inch jack, they have the Bluetooth, and then it has 2 quarters, one for left and one for right. And then each channel, 1 and 2, has switches on it, so you can have it set up for microphones, you can have them set up for guitars, you can have them set up for line, which is what we generally keep it on, is for the lines. And then they have 1/4 inch and XLR females, so you can easily hook up to them. So for instance, let me put this back out here. Sorry about the poor cameramanship here. But so I put one on the stage left and one on the stage right. One on the left side, one on the right side, however you want to put it. And what I do is I actually have a Behringer Air 18. Actually, I have 2 of them. Ta-da! So down here they have main left and main right out. So what I do for my setup, right, wrong, indifferent, makes no difference to me. I use one speaker as a master and the other speaker as a slave. Which just means that everything you do on the one that's set to the mono or the stereo, mono or stereo, is the controller, and then the link in is the one that's on. The knobs don't matter. Nothing matters because you're operating it from the main speaker. I do not actually use the Bluetooth very often. I thought it was going to be very awesome and very cool when I got it for my band's setup. But again, I use the Behringer Airs. So I find the tonality and the ease of hooking everything up way easier for me to just hook my music directly up to my X-Air and still control it out the front rather than using the Bluetooth. But if you're into DJing, or you're looking for something around the house, more than just a little tiny, Bluetooth speaker. These are Bluetooth and they're fancy, but they're a little bit bigger. The price on these guys was the selling point. As we all know here, this year in the last 6 months or so, the price of everything electronic has generally gone up. These guys here are no different. When I bought them, they were $349.99, and I got them on sale for $299.99, which now, as of August 2nd, 2022, today, tomorrow, these right here are $399.99 without a sale. But even in that aspect, they're still very, 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 very worth it. If you like setting up a show in a very minimal setup, I suggest looking into getting powered speakers. If not the Harbingers, do your research. Find what speakers you like. I've seen people use EVs, and some other ones have Bluetooth / self-powered. Each one of these here can max out power of 2,000 watts, which I found amazing. Plus, it's got a cutout right here, so you can lay it on the floor and use it as a wedge, which I personally have not had to do that, but I did go to a festival sometime last month, and I noticed that the acoustic duo that were playing had one of these, but they had a 12-inch version. They had it laid down, and they were using it as a wedge pointed towards the crowd. So they were obviously plugged one into one channel, one in the other channel, and how they got their vocals, I'm not honestly sure. Or maybe they used it through a mixer and hooked the mixer up. I couldn't really tell. I didn't go up and look, but I know that they were using it on the ground, pointing it up. I put them right on the stands because they have the holes underneath for a speaker stand. Plus, one cool feature that you can't see, and I'm not gonna put you through the trouble of looking, is it has a spinning knob to tighten them onto the stand so they don't spin around. Which personally, I have not had the necessarily have not had to use that, but I know that you can do that, and I thought that was a nice feature. Um, the sound on these things are, in my opinion, they're well above average for the price, the size, and the convenience of them. They sound amazing. I see why a lot of people use them to DJ, and for us, I use them more of the high end for the band. So primarily, you got more of your vocals and your guitars, maybe more of your high range on your bass guitars. Plus, I use a Yorkville powered sub, which I'm not gonna do anything with, like a review or nothing at this time. But with that being said, knowing how great these sound makes me want to buy the Harbinger subwoofers. Probably the 12, maybe the 15s, probably the 12 to be honest, because of the size. Um, so maybe next year, if we play a bunch of shows and I have some extra band money, maybe I'll buy myself a pair of those to complement the tops. But for a four-piece country band that uses your standard four-piece drum, kick, snare, tom, one floor tom, plus we have two electric guitar players and the bass, three vocals. We have used the drum pad, a really nice Alessis drum pad, and everything that we use in every situation I put these through this year, they have not let me down. I played outside venues, community events. We've played. One of them had probably about, I'd say, the better part of 500 people at, and they could hear everything plain as day, which was great because I was running into a problem with my Behringer Air and the connection, which that is a story for another time. But we ended up having to plug the vocals in direct, two of the vocals, and our third singer, he just did not use it. But we ended up putting our main two vocals through it, and we just used the volume of our guitar amps and the drums themselves to emit the sound, and then we just complemented them with vocals out of these, and they sounded great. This guy here, right now I have everything turned way down. For me, whenever I set it up at the shows, because again I'm using the air, and I'm just hooking my air left and right into the into channel 1 and channel 2. Maybe that's not the most optimal. Maybe they'll tell you to go left and right. One's a mono, two's a stereo. Don't know. Don't care. Not a sound guy. I'm a bass player. So I just hooked main left up here, main right up to channel 2. I always put them at a good starting point of half volume because we play some pretty decent sized rooms and outside. And at half volume, I keep the volume on my board pretty tame. Maybe down on the main mix, maybe down 10 decibels, sometimes 20. Anywhere, but I fluctuate between -10 and 0 unity. But again, they sound freaking great. When I had that problem with the Behringer Air and I had no connection to use it, I hooked up my microphone 1, my microphone 2, and on the third channel, I hooked up my 2/4 inch to 1/8 inch, or my 6.5 or whatever they are to 3.5 millimeters, either way, and I plugged it directly in, and it still sounded great. I set my bass generally around 2/3. I guess in retrospect it'd be around 11 o'clock here, and then treble. I don't necessarily I haven't really been paying attention to where our new sound guy's been doing it. I know he's been making adjustments, but I went at 11 o'clock and then 12 o'clock on treble. Um, I could look at the other speaker and see how he's got them hooked up, but I'm not gonna. Again, I'm not there for that. I just bring it. I can tell you that having these two speakers, I cut out a 2 or a 3U rather. No, 2U for my roadie case, 2Us in my main PA box roadie case, that I ended up having my 1U and my 1U in-ear monitors, and I brought them into the main case. So in my main case, I have a power distributor. I have 2 sets of in-ears that are left and right, so it's 4 of them if you include left and right, or channel 1, channel 2. Technically, there's channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4. And then I have a 3U spot that's taken up by the Behringer Air. So with that going, I have very easy connection. This bad boy comes with like a 3 or a 4 foot regular computer looking amp cord, which is the 110 to 120 volt. This right here says it's up to 400 watts. But when I use it, I ended up buying one on Amazon. They are $11. They are 25 foot long universal AC cord with that type of connection. And I bought obviously 2 of them, one for each speaker, because I like to plug as much stuff directly into a wall as I can without having to use extension cords or surge bars. Just because that's something that a friend of mine told me. And whenever you get feedback from your friends, suggestions and whatnot, you try to utilize that, especially the ones that have more knowledge than you do. So if I'm going to do an acoustic show, maybe next year whenever I decide to actually pick up my acoustic and start grinding, I will use my Harbingers. Whether I use 2 or 1, I'm not sure, but either way it makes no difference. In my toolbox that I do my speaker wires and everything in the top half of it. So in that, for my main speakers, I have 2 XLR cables that I tape together to make a snake that are 20 foot long, that I hook up from my left main, my right main on the air board to here, so that way I have plenty of room to get where I need to get. Then I hook up an XLR cable or 2, depending on the distance. Mostly 2. They're both the cords are 25 foot, but I like to generally keep them together anyways, just because it's better to have more than enough than not enough when it comes to hooking up some speakers. And that's really it. The power cord, the 2 XLRs, and the 2 XLRs that I hook up for going to make it linked in, hooking one speaker to the other. It takes seconds to set it up, turn them both on, they're both powered, and then we're in business. It doesn't get much easier than that for a set of teardown. I'm very happy with them, and I can't express how grateful I am that I got such a great deal on them. I am so thankful that they're so light because my back enjoys it. I put my 2 speakers up, I run my cables, and then I'm on to the next thing. One of these days, I think I'm going to go ahead and do a full band setup and show you guys in YouTube land how our band hooks up all of our stuff and all the fancy stuff we use. So again, I really wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video about the Harbingers. Hope maybe it answers some questions for you. I think they're fantastic. I recommend them to all my musician friends. I recommend them to my friends that are doing karaoke in their garage, playing music at home on weekends because people don't go out like they used to, and even a couple of the bar owners that I've talked to that are talking about getting systems for their venues. I think they're fantastic. I've been using these now for probably, I'd say, the better part of, well, I think I got them on the President's Day sale, so I'll let you do the math. Big fan. I suggest trying them out. You won't be disappointed. And I'll let you know, one day if I need to, where they give me problems. A decent set is 15-inch speakers, cost you about $200 a piece anyways, and I figured for an extra 100 or $200 you add in the amp, cut out the problems. And again, the Bluetooth does work very well. I never really found out the far distance, roughly how far they go, because right at the very beginning I thought that they sounded better using the tonality from my Behringer Airboard than direct. But direct, they sound great. They're very low-endy, very boomy, even without a subwoofer. They're great standalone speakers. I hope that, anyone that's tried them out, if you have any suggestions or anything on ways to make them sound even better, utilize them better, by all means, please don't be afraid to drop them in the comments and let me know. With that being said, thank you so much for hanging out with me on the 40 to 400 podcast today. Obviously, I'll be doing another one in the next few days that I'll be discussing more things, but this was more of a review today. So I wanted to say, don't forget to find your inspiration, find yourself, and find your groove. Have a great day.